Fast forwarding to 2001 now. In 2001, the world was trying to figure out how to get software development to a better place. There was all kinds of messes going on. There were, of course, methods like XP, Extreme Programming, Scrum, and more trying to figure it out and trying to resolve the problem of software development. But still, the world was not looking better with regards to developing software and getting better value to our customers along the scale. At that point in time, 2001, Dave Thomas, one of the Agile thinkers and practitioners, organized a software improvement workshop in a ski hut in Vermont. So he invited 16 other great thinkers, among which were Kent Beck, Mike Beadle, Alistair Coburn, Martin Fowler, Brian Merrick, Ron Jeffries, Ken Schwaber, Jeff Sutherland, Robert C. Martin, Jim Highsmith, and a number more. These came together at 2001 in that ski hut in Vermont. And they said, okay, let's figure this out. Let's get this over with. And let's improve the way we do. This idea of planning the work and then working the plan, these long cycles of months and months or even years and years of software developers, then coming up, ta-da, with this product, it demonstrably does not work. We are over budget every time, we're too late, we're too expensive, it has low quality, and it's not what the customer needs. Apparently, people don't always know up front what they need. And apparently, we don't know how to build it either. So this plan-driven approach has to stop. We have to come up with something more empirical, something more cyclic, that kind of tests all the time. So they sat together and said to each other, let's try to figure this out. All these thinkers like Jeff with Scrum and Kent Beck with XP, they had new ideas and they were struggling and arguing and trying to figure out what is the right way to come up with one conclusion. At a certain point, they recognized that trying to figure out this one method that rules them all, so to speak, doesn't work. So they come up with something better. They come up with a manifesto for Agile software development that says, here's something that always you can adhere to, whatever the method looks like. This is like your compass. And if you do this, you'll probably do it right. They call it Agile because that means you're flexible, you're apt to change, you can respond to what happens. And the manifesto had a couple of foundational values that has since then driven software development, product development even, to higher grounds. So whatever your method is, whether it's Scrum or XP or RUP or whatever you want, at least make sure you adhere to these values and the underlying principles strongly. And the idea is that they were trying to uncover better ways of software development by doing it and by helping others to do it. And they have come to value through that. There's a couple of foundational truths. The first being individuals and interactions over processes and tools. And I explain this often saying, if a process or a tool is hampering the people from working together, change the tool or the process. Or look at it another way. Ask any project manager why his project was a success. They will all give you the same typical answer of, it's because we had some wonderful people, we made some changes to the process, we bended the rules even. Those are typical things project managers say that made their projects succeed. So this little line at the top of the manifesto says, individual interactions are always more important for a project success than processes and tools. So then you have a first set. Now the second rule was then working software is always more important than comprehensive documentation. I often say, if you have comprehensive documentation for stuff you don't even have yet, what are you doing with it? Why do you need documentation for software or a product that you don't have? Only after you have the working software, the documents become relevant as well. So stay on the same line. Trying to build the documentation as you build the product is more effective and more useful. Less wasteful, because just work out the complete documentation of everything you're going to have and then start building it. I often say it's better to build something that you can talk about than to talk about where you're going to build. Now with these two values in place, you have something of a chance. You have an opportunity to show your customer real stuff. And the third value kind of builds on that, saying customer collaboration over contract negotiation. And this has been long time misunderstood, where people think, yeah, well, that's just for customers. We have internal processes. And internal processes have just the same kind of dynamic. If you're constantly talking about whether something is a bug or a change request or a fault, you're basically doing contract negotiation. And of course people need contracts. I often say it's like a marriage. If you're married, you have a contract. But every time the toothpaste is not properly closed or the bed was not nicely laid out, you don't draw out the contract and say, hey, this is not according to the contract. You deal with it in a more collaborative way. Only when the collaboration doesn't work all the time, when you've hit the point 20, 25, 30, 50 times again and again and it doesn't change, then you'll say, our collaboration is not working, we need to do something out. And that's where you pick up the contract. So in product development, we saw the exact opposite, where for every nitty-gritty detail, the contract was pulled out, and it was like, it's not according to the specifications. You need to build this because we agreed on it. Here it says. Rather than having that discussion, I'd rather say, how about we have a meaningful discussion about what we need to do to get to higher grounds, which is the customer collaboration side. Now, if you have a working stuff coming to your customers, you can actually show it. It's easier to collaborate. So the order of things of the manifesto is actually important. If you have a working product to collaborate with your customer on, something special happens. Because then they start responding to change instead of following the plan. And that is the next value. I often say, a plan is great. The biggest risk of a plan, however, is that you start following it. As Eisenhower once said during D-Day, I said, I love the concept of planning. I just don't believe in the plan. When you're at war, when you're in development, the plan is built at the point in time where you know the least and all the risks are in front of you. So better than just to follow the plan and try to execute it, the plan is there to have you prepared and have you responding to change because that's the way things are. That's the way of the world. So responding to change actually makes it possible for you to reach your goal. And that is the Agile Manifesto.